Hey guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit about your project that you're going to be working on for this week. I'll have it due on Friday. And what it is going to be, I'll attach these instructions on Classroom too, but it's going to be an interaction web or a food web. And we haven't talked about that yet. We talked about food chains in the last video. So briefly, if you go to your notes, there is a food web slide on slide number 22. Pretty simple. Basically, when you add a whole bunch of individuals, a whole bunch of organisms, there are more than one chain that links them up. So for instance, we got energy coming from the sun to a producer. These plants might be eaten by little roundworms called, let's say, nematodes. It could be earthworms too, if you wanted to put that in there. Those little roundworms could be eaten by some small arthropods, which could be eaten by bigger ones like spiders, which could be eaten by a bird. That's a food chain, and you can see the arrows linking those up right there. However, there are other chains involved as soon as you add some additional creatures, some additional living things. So we still have our same producers. What if those are eaten by like some fungus? And they definitely are. That fungus could be eaten by one of these roundworms again, and that roundworm could be eaten by a bigger roundworm or an earthworm or an arthropod, whatever. In this case, it's bigger roundworm. That could be eaten by a larger arthropod, which could be eaten by, let's say, this animal down here, like a mouse. So now we have another food chain on the same image because we have some additional creatures. So it's basically, I would do this and put all of your creatures down, all of your biotic things down, and then see how many food chains you can link up on your whatever kind of program you're using to do this. And there are a few options. But first, let's talk about the instructions which you have on Classroom. You'll be working on this class during the week. I'll have it due on Friday, or you won't be working on it in class. But you probably want to use your computer to research maybe what some of these things eat. I'll put up some resources maybe on Classroom starting tomorrow. Right now, I really want you to kind of figure it out on your own, put your things on your web, get the animals and the plants that you want to use. Okay, and you're going to create either in Google Slides, you can do this. You could do it in a Google Jam, which we've been doing. Lucid Chart is another option as well. You're going to create one of these food webs on animals and plants that are found in Minnesota. I'm going to keep yours creative, make it look good, make it look really neat. And I do want things labeled, so I'm going to show you that. So after you have everything in there, you're going to choose 14 organisms, okay? It says from your list. That list we made already. You have access to this from Friday's lesson. This is the list that we created as a group. So use animals and plants from this list to make your project. Okay, and then when going back here, I want you to add 4 non-living things to your area, and those again are also on our jam. You just got to go to the next slide. We have abiotic stuff over here. Add 4 of them. You could draw pictures of them, add pictures of them, whatever. One of them has to be the sun because that's where we get our energy from. Okay, and then you're going to draw arrows to link up your organisms from the, let's say, primary consumer to the secondary consumer to the tertiary consumer. Your arrows should point in the right direction, and that is the biggest thing that people mess up with in 7th grade is they draw an arrow from the coyote to the mouse, and the coyote's energy does not go to the mouse. The mouse's energy goes to the coyote, for instance. So you should have a bunch of arrows all over your jam or lucid chart or whatever. So let's talk about how you make that really quick. In your drive, there's a number of options. You can hit new. And you could definitely use a Google slide. You can insert images, you can insert arrows on a Google slide, but it should all be on one slide, so make your things small. You also probably have the ability to create a Google Jamboard, which is what we've been using. I think that's fine. Maybe insert a picture of an arrow. I don't really know. The other option that you have is using something called Lucid Chart, which I do have pulled up, and it's pretty sweet. Let's do that. I like it, actually. Works pretty well, and it'll ask you to like sign in with Google, pick from a template, and that template could be blank, but this thing's got It's taking forever here. This thing's got images that you can download.